Berlin, 2003. At the entrance to the school grounds, stern security guards stand watch and refuse to let Lucas in, since for the first time in 4 years, he forgot his pass at home. Trying to persuade them didn't work, and the boy wandered off through the streets of Berlin. He watched a fight between homeless men, smoked a cigarette, and called his friend Jin to hang out. Jin, in turn, invited Julius, a restless guy who never stops talking about girls. He led his friends to the far end of the park. This was where some Arab guys hung around, and Lucas was a bit afraid of them. The Arab thugs offered to sell them some illegal substances, but Lucas advised the group to keep their heads down and just walk past quietly. Julius, however, stopped and told them they didn't need anything. Jamal realized Lucas was the most timid one and decided to pick on him. The threats quickly turned into action. The Turks ganged up on the boy, beat him badly, and warned him never to show up there again. The guys kept walking toward a dealer they knew. Sam noticed Lucas's bloody face. Julius jumped in and lied to Sam, saying the Turks had called him a bastard. The dealer and his buddies got angry and immediately decided to go sort things out, handing poor Lucas a telescopic baton. Now he would have to take part in a mass brawl. The gang pushed Lucas forward to throw the first punch, but the boy got scared and froze. Sam had to attack first, and the others followed his lead. The schoolboys stood aside, watching jaws and arms being broken. Jin ended up pinned under a big Turk and begged Lucas to help him, but the boy panicked again and ran away. A police car drove by. Terrified, Lucas ran into a subway car and threw up there. But his bad luck wasn't over. The Turkish gang tried to enter the same car, and only Hamoudi managed to get in. The thugs said Sam had stolen 200 euros from their stash, and since the fight started because of Lucas, he now had to pay it back. Not 200, but all 500. If he didn't bring the money by 3 o'clock tomorrow, they'd punish his whole family. As collateral, the extortionist took Lucas's backpack. Beaten up, Lucas barely made it home and locked himself in the bathroom to wash the blood off his face. His younger brother had been beaten too. Late that night, his older, good-for-nothing brother Marco came home. He already knew what had happened. Marco always said that if you don't have a knife or a gun, you'd better run. After the fight, Jamal was all bandaged up, and Hamoudi showed him the contents of Lucas's backpack. Today, Lucas had to walk his little brother to school, and he took all his coins and his school pass. In Lucas's eyes, the kid was just another typical victim, skinny, weak, and unable to stand up for himself. The classroom was total chaos. The migrants did whatever they wanted. Lucas lied to Jin, saying the gang demanded 500 euros from both of them. The Arabs were completely out of control and finally pushed the teacher to his limit. At that moment, the principal entered the room to introduce a new black student. The fat kid almost started a fight with another black boy. During recess, Lucas reminded his friend about the money, and Jin promised to bring it. He had been saving it for something. A man from the Department of Education came to the school. He tripped, and everyone immediately started laughing and throwing paper at him. The man had come to announce that Berlin was giving the school 50 new computers. Finally, they would have proper computer science classes. Meanwhile, Jin came home and took the money from his hiding spot. He was about to leave when his tyrannical father called him to the table. Next to him sat Jin's beaten mother. The man scolded Jin for skipping school almost every day. When the boy stood up to leave, his father exploded and began beating his wife again. The son also got hit. Jin called Lucas and said he wouldn't come because he was saving money for tickets so that he and his mother could move to his grandmother's house in Italy. The clock struck 3. On his way out of school, Lucas ran into Sam. Lucas asked him to return the stolen money to the gang, but Sam nearly hit him again for trying to tell him what to do. In the hallway, desperate Lucas thought about stealing some electronics from his neighbor, but she stepped out of her apartment just in time. It turned out she was the mother of the new student Sanchez. Seeing his bruises, the woman didn't scold the young thief too harshly. Hamoudi had followed Lucas and found out where he lived. The whole gang showed up at his father's place, pretending to be Lucas's classmates. Lucas asked to stay at his neighbor's place so he would not fall into the hands of the thugs. Sanchez saw the Arabs and threw dishes at them from the balcony, almost hitting one of them, showing that he was not as much of a coward as his neighbor. Julius tried to sneak into a closed family park, but the security guards pushed him away, so he had to crawl through the bushes to meet his girlfriend there. The boys planned to go to a party and deal with Lucas's problem tomorrow. Sanchez stole a few bottles of alcohol, and the thieves ran out of the store. The guys got drunk like pigs, talked about girls, and started dancing to German rap. On the bus, Julius tried to hit on some girls, but they only laughed at the schoolboys. Both groups exchanged insults involving each other's mothers. Julius had promised his friends a party, but the cops showed up at the venue before they even got there. Julius was worried they might search him, since after the fight he had started carrying a butterfly knife and a pepper spray canister. In the taxi, Sanchez reasoned that to have real fun, you needed money. That way, they could crash any club and pick up some chicks. The taxi driver was very polite to the group. Julius said he would pay, but when they all got out, he sprayed pepper spray right in the man's face. The hooligans ran off and hid on a rooftop. There, they watched the sunrise. Sanchez again suggested doing something crazy and remembered the new school computers. They would steal them, sell them, and each get 10,000 euros. Only Lucas thought it was a stupid idea, but he still owed 500 euros, as reminded by the obscene message scrawled on his building's entrance. At lunch, his father proudly announced that he had gotten a part-time job at a university and would now be making 800 euros a month. His sons laughed at that amount. In class, the boys were out of control, throwing furniture around. Lucas accidentally hit the teacher with a chair and split his head open. The fat kid Momo told his classmate that he would take the blame. He went up and apologized to the teacher. Lucas, however, took advantage of the situation to steal the man's keychain. The kind teacher had promised to help him get into college. Julius lived in a real dump that his brother had turned their home into. Their parents had long since gone somewhere. The guy made the boys take off their shoes and step onto the filthy floor. Julius did not want to let them into his room so they would not find out he had no furniture, just a thin mattress and cardboard boxes for shelves. Lucas tossed the keys at his feet, saying they would give them access to the computers. However, only 3 of them went through with the plan. Jin's father would not let him out that late. Julius brought a gun and, joking around, shouted loudly in the street. Sanchez immediately grabbed the weapon, but then started screaming like a madman himself, so they had to give the gun back. The thieves sneaked into the school. Julius kept fooling around. He turned on all the lights in the building, saying it would help them get their bearings. After a while, the boys found the staff room and discovered shelves full of computers and monitors. As they were leaving, Julius left graffiti on the wall, and Lucas ripped his jeans climbing over the gate. They pushed the stolen equipment on a cart, fantasizing about how they would spend the money. Some drunks coming out of a bar started hassling them. Of course, Julius could not just walk away. He pulled out the gun and fired into the air. The men ran off, and his friends were astonished at how this idiot always managed to cause trouble. A police siren sounded. The boys had to run as fast as they could. One of the cart's wheels broke off, and at the next corner, it completely flipped over. Only Lucas stayed with the equipment. The others ran away. Finally, near dawn, the computers ended up in Julius's room. The boys tried to hide them under dirty clothes so his brother would not notice. Sanchez decided to take a few of them home. The next day, the police arrived at school. Local residents had seen 3 intruders, and they were armed. The damages amounted to thousands. Marco called. He had already heard about the computers and said he would never have done something like that, since they were all registered and would be traced as soon as they were sold. Marco himself owed money to a thug and to the owner of an arcade. And to make him hurry up, they broke one of his fingers. Reporters even filmed a news segment about the troubled school where migrants and kids from poor families studied. Now the school had no more computers for IT classes. Lucas's father was shocked by the recent events but had no idea what was actually happening at the school because of the migrants. According to Lucas, he was barely surviving there. His mother had died, and the embittered boy said nasty things about his father's new woman. The gun ended up staying with Julius. Even Jamal had a mother who cared about him. However, the thug lied, claiming that he was beaten because he was a migrant and an Arab. Lucas was in despair. His friends were chilling on the rooftop instead of helping him pay off the Arabs. Gino was about to leave, and for that, he got punched in the nose. The boys went to an electronics dealer, but he showed little interest. As usual, Julius started losing his temper and even spat on the table. What he didn't know was that some tough guys with bats were sitting in the back room, so the schoolboys ran for their lives. One of the thugs turned out to be their classmate Momo, who told his buddies to let the kids go. Lucas decided to look for the right people among his brother's acquaintances. While Marco was distracted, he approached Ali with a proposal. The next day, the friends went to a gold dealer, and this one was interested in the goods. The fence was watching the news and knew exactly where the boys had gotten the computers. They wanted 1,500 euros for 3 of them, but the man agreed to pay only 800. Still, the schoolboys were satisfied and immediately went shopping to buy some cool clothes. At school, the police were questioning Momo. Lucas felt like all the kids were staring at him and the officers were closing in from all sides. On top of that, the teacher wanted to talk to him. Lucas called his brother and, with a trembling voice, confessed that it was he and his friends who had robbed the school and that everyone already knew. Marco advised him to stay silent and deny everything. However, it turned out that the teacher suspected Momo of the theft. He thought Momo had stolen his keys. The man offered Lucas a deal: to join forces against the Arabs and testify against Momo, but Lucas refused to frame his classmate. At home, the boy learned that his father and his lover wanted to move him in with his older brother. Julius had all his new clothes taken away, and Gino's father found his money stash and spent it all on booze. Meanwhile, Sanchez's mother found the hidden computer. He tried to justify himself, saying that if he didn't steal, he would have neither sneakers nor a stereo. The woman burst into tears and told her son to grab his passport. They were going to the police right now, but the boy refused and said he wouldn't leave home. The woman had no idea what to do with him anymore. Lucas's father apologized for wanting to send him away. As they drove into a tunnel, their car was suddenly surrounded by Arabs who started smashing it. After that, the gang ran off. When he got home, Lucas took the gun and tucked it into his pants. He went to Hamel's house and told him he didn't have the money and immediately got punched in the face. But Hamel's mother pulled her son back and invited them both upstairs. Hamel lied, saying Lucas was his friend, but the boy told the truth, that Hamel had taken his backpack. The mother demanded that her son apologize to the boy, and they shook hands. In exchange for peace, Hamel took Lucas's new sneakers. Then Julius called. His brother was giving him a hard time. The man demanded that they take the stolen equipment out of the apartment right away and started beating Julius. Lucas pulled out the gun and fired into the wall. The man instantly calmed down and let his brother go. Marco called and said he had found a guy named Abdul who would buy the stolen goods. The boys showed up in the kitchen of a Chinese restaurant and found a fat Arab man slurping noodles. They threw the computers into the trunk of his car and demanded payment, but Abdul hit the gas and drove off, leaving the schoolboys with nothing. Meanwhile, Gino heard his father beating his mother again. Pushed to the limit, the boy grabbed a bottle and smashed it over the drunk's head. Lucas called his brother and complained that Abdul had scammed him, but Marco lied, saying it wasn't Abdul, that Lucas had confused him with someone else. From the start, Marco had planned to cheat Lucas so he could pay off his own debts. Gino's mother called Julius and said her son had attacked his father, then climbed out the window and ended up in the hospital. As the boys got off the bus, they ran into Sam. He was always bragging about dating some hot girl, and it turned out to be Julius's girlfriend. Julius slapped the cheating girl across the face, and Sam threw him to the ground and started beating him. Sanchez ran to help but got hit in the head himself. Lucas once again found himself in a familiar situation, to run or to help his friends. And this time, he didn't get scared. All 3 jumped on Sam and managed to stop him. The boys went to visit Gino in the hospital. He reached out his hand in peace toward Lucas, and the friends hugged. Sanchez and Julius joined them. The 4 were together again. That's where the movie ends.